computer. I'm going to record, and promise is kept.
We are on record.
We have it on record, and we can share your.
I'm on the spotlight now. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
are. We can share your presentation with the rest of the I can send it out to the rest of the Manufacturers Council. But Ben, I would tell you, don't give up on us. Keep coming. You know, when this Manufacturers Council started a couple of years ago, we were meeting at different manufacturers, and Mark will tell you how much they loved that because you got to know each other. I'm going to shut up, Mark.
Yeah, no, it's a tough group to get together. We started off pretty strong. You know, we had like 12 or 13 of us here at this plant here in Attendas, and we were giving tours to every plant. I mean, it was so interesting because I got to see, you know, all the manufacturing in the Delaware area. And then COVID hit and the labor market really took a dump, and it seems like we're competing against each other for labor. I think there's a lot of consternation with the manufacturing community because to hire people, we have to steal from each other pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's really tough. I mean, I hear every day of somebody got hired on here from another company in the area, and we have people that leave to go to work. It's pretty difficult. So, but
Where
anyway,
are you understating? Mark is the king of understatement.
yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how you guys are with, we beat COVID to death. We did have a good benchmarking session when COVID hit. The council came together and really collaborated well and shared best practices. And if you remember back then, nobody knew how to social distance. Well, now all of our plants in the area are socially distanced. We sanitize, we spread out the breaks, we adjust schedules. We've all done these things. And I think for the most part, we've been able to prevent the spread of the virus within the manufacturing plants in the area. Most of the spread comes from the outside. People are,
for sure.
People are getting it from the outside and then coming into the plant. It's not being spread in our plants in Delaware. I think a lot of it.
I think Christmas and New Year were a definite part of the spike, in addition to Omicron, but just people being around family, kids, all that stuff.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
People had big parties.
Yep.
I had a friend of mine, everybody that went tested before they went. His parents had their 30th wedding anniversary, and he held a gathering, and sure enough, like the day after, somebody tested positive. About 9 people got it. I don't think you can really avoid it at this point.
No, I'll tell you, the safest place to be is on an international flight. I go to Europe every year for 2 years. So I was in Europe in end of November, and I got home just as the new variant was coming. I got in December 6th, right out the wire, but you've got to be tested. They won't let you on a plane unless you have a verification that you have a test scheduled where you're landing. They wouldn't let me on a plane to Brussels that was just a layover to Edinburgh because I didn't have a test in Brussels. It's a layover. I'm not leaving the airport. So between being tested everywhere you go and then masking on the plane, but it felt like life was easier when everything was shut down. Now it's this weird push-pull purgatory COVID thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah, the rules are pretty loose, especially kind of inside the US. You're right. If you leave, get on an international flight or whatever. I was in Florida, Smash My Trash. We had our national sales conference, and last year I didn't go primarily because of COVID. This year I did go, and the airlines in the hotel were really good.
Mhm.
A lot of my I guess partners from a franchise perspective, it was pretty loose down there, and Florida, because I have friends there. I did a little bit of traveling over the weekend to just say hi to some folks, and stop at a gas station to buy gas or whatever. Everybody had a low grade hacking cough, but you didn't see a lot of masks. It's like, I really wonder how much kind of long-term COVID impacts there are going to be, just because people say they get better, but then
Well,
I
and
know at
that's,
least 2 people that had
Yeah.
tinnitus for, months afterwards.
Yeah, I've heard some
that's
horror
really the
stories.
heart of it too. That's
Yeah,
really at the
yeah.
heart of
doesn't
it.
seem worth it personally, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it last February, so about a year ago. I had like the vaccine, then I got it a week later.
Oh,
oh,
then,
that's no good.
so then I had the second shot and all that stuff. And mine was like a bad cold, and my wife just had it right before Thanksgiving, and like 5 days she was laid out. She was pretty much eating like a couple grapes and a couple crackers a day and responding in grunts. I mean, like she was just,
Wow.
beat. So my daughter had it last Christmas, so like a little over a year ago, and she barely had a stuffy nose. So
yeah, that's the other. And I don't mean to be personal, but I take it your wife is vaccinated as well.
yeah. We're all vaccinated, all boosted, and 3 out of 4 of us have had it. So
See, that's
hopefully
the
we're about as
problem.
bulletproof as we get. But
That's the problem. It's like telling your kids you don't drive drunk, and they get drunk and they get behind the wheel and they get in an accident and they're not hurt. And they go, what are you talking about? So
yeah,
people who are opposed to the vaccine say, look, you're vaccinated, you get it, so it doesn't help. You go, no, the vaccine is so we don't die. But
right.
it's that little toehold that gets used to, it's not good times. And it's even
Yeah.
worse times for those of you who rely on, employees to get work done.
Well, and that's like at Acoustifiber, we've seen a big spike in the last few weeks. Yeah, I mean, I want to say at one point we had like 30 people out. That wasn't all COVID, but that was more than half COVID, with some other, vacation or different things out. And that was, more than half of the day shift that day. It was crazy. And still we're down, I think yesterday we're down 15. So it's still there, but you can see it's improving. But again, like you said, it's, you can pretty much track all of it, either family or friends or social, it's really, we haven't seen a lot of tracing to the site.
How many folks do you have out there then?
On the direct labor side, about 150, I think right now.
Okay. Yeah, as a manufacturing council, we kind of beat COVID to death, we with the benchmarking and also the labor issues. We had a lot of good discussion around labor, and an opportunity for us is to talk about some supply chain issues that we're all seeing. I don't know if you're seeing that, Ben, with delivery delays on the raw materials that you use to make your product, and curbing production because of that. But we're seeing a lot of that here with supply.
I haven't seen it as much here. Again, my previous job here in St. Louis, I was with a chemical company, and we saw it tremendously. With over the last year, we had like 50 some force majeures on raw materials, and trying to get containers and things like that was a real mess. For my new job, it's mostly we've run into some of it, but not nearly on the same scale, other than still seeing some impact of like chip shortages and things like that on the automotive side.
What's the main raw material that you have there?
Well, and key ones like fiberglass insulation type thing. You've got some like cotton liners. I would say those are kind of the big ones. I mean, and then we also have kind of a stamping part as well. So steel as well is kind of a big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
how about you guys?
Well, you mentioned Hinkle. Hinkle is our main adhesive in our product, and we use millions of dollars of that adhesive a year, and it was for the construction, for the elastics. We make baby diapers is what we make.
Yeah. Sure.
And so there's a lot of adhesives. And then the other main product is a non-woven fabrics that go into the product. And then there's some pulp too, but we haven't had much supply issues with the pulp. But yeah, we've had to shut down our plant for several days because of we couldn't get raw materials in.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a pretty significant slowdown. So Smash My Trash is and I have a few slides that we can maybe get to it here in a minute, but we're on a kind of Entrepreneurs Magazine kind of list. This year will be 24th on the fastest growing franchises. And so we've been rolling out, we basically provide mobile trash compaction services for open top dumpsters. And, we currently have about 190 trucks on the road, have, a lot of trucks in the pipeline. And, supply chain wise, it's interesting because the machine itself comes from Germany. And we really haven't seen any challenges there. It's manufactured in Germany, but Kenworth, who is our primary truck supplier, the chip shortages have impacted them. And, in general, we're starting to see an improvement in delivery, but 2-3 months ago, it was, especially before Christmas, it was pretty sparse. We've got a lot of franchisees that have maybe gotten a first truck or waiting on a second, and, et cetera. So it's been pretty significant slowdown.
So it is a franchise, though. You mentioned that a couple times. Is that
It is, yes.
correct?
So the original location started in kind of mid 2015, 2016 in the Houston area. Our founder, Justin Haskins, who he lives in Carmel, Indiana. That's where the franchisor is located. His brother was in the oil and gas industry and saw, just pallets and basically, waste containers that were full by volume, but not full by weight, getting shipped off. And so they had this idea, and it really didn't reinvent the wheel. Waste compaction is very prevalent in Europe, where landfill space is more expensive, where, land in general is harder to come by. And so, you have French manufacturers, you've got German manufacturers that build this equipment. And so basically their idea was to take that equipment, put it in a Connex, ship it to the US, mount it to a medium duty truck, and then, use the franchise model from a funding perspective. So, and I'll go through, a few of the stats, but essentially, we've got 162 owners in 41 states, and, we've rolled out 190 trucks, over the last 2 to 2.5 years. And so, in Ohio in particular, we've got 9 owners. We've got 12 trucks. It's about a $3 million investment, in just trucks, not including the traditional franchise fees and that sort of thing. So,
Andy, how long have you had the franchise?
So I've been in operation for about a year. It takes about 6 months to get your first truck. So I signed my agreement in June of, I guess it would have been June of 2020.
And what were you doing before that? Or did I miss that one?
I still have a full-time job because I have a staff. I have a general manager that runs it, Cody Dodds. And, I've got 2 drivers. I've got a CFO who keeps the books. And so some of our owners are full-time. We've got people all the way where, the owner drives the truck up through, people like me who, I spend 10 or 15 hours a week, maintaining the business, making sure we're headed in the right direction, kind of strategic decision-making. But and at some point, I may quit my job once we get a few more trucks on the road. But
what's your day job?
I work for Hewlett Packard Enterprise.
Okay.
Speaking of supply chain, we're in the middle of getting chips is hard. We get a lot of supply out of Taiwan and China, and Taiwan especially. It's actually in Taiwan, it's not COVID. It's they've had it's abated now, but they had a very significant water shortage about 6-9 months ago. And, it's a small island, so if it doesn't rain, they've got issues.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Andrew, you said there are 9 franchisees in Ohio with 12 trucks. Is that too many franchisees? Is that cutting the pie in too many pieces?
No, actually, because the franchise territories are by zip code. So you have a variety just depending on, the level of financing. If I look at Columbus, right, Steve Elsass, who is the franchisee, he in a small group of partners, they have 7 territories. They basically have everything inside the 270 outer belt all the way down to Rickenbacker. But then you have a lot of folks that I would say the average owner has 2 to 3 territories. So if we go up to Cleveland, that's kind of how we get to the bigger numbers is There are, I think between Cleveland and Akron, 4 owners. There's 1 in Toledo, there's 2 in Cincinnati. I've got Dayton and Delaware and Union counties. So yeah, it's and people work together very tightly. Our Cleveland guys actually, their territories physically adjoin, similar to how I connect to Columbus. So these are big, heavy pieces of equipment. I'm sure from a manufacturing perspective, you guys are familiar of the angst that is caused when equipment goes down. So we back each other up, and the nice thing about it is mobile, and we've got a decent staff of drivers at this point. So speaking of hiring, drivers is definitely getting good ones is tough. Although we tend to be on the higher end, so people want to come work for us, which is good.
Well, your screen is shared, so whenever you're ready, unless
Excellent.
Mark or
let me put this.
Sorry, I tend to ask a lot of questions, so.
Oh yeah,
No,
no problem. Ask away.
Oh, while you're doing that, I know most of you probably heard that Intel's building that $20 billion chip factory in the Columbus
I
area.
did hear that. Yeah.
That's going to be huge for the region.
Yeah.
Where's that going to be?
It says Columbus area. I think
It's just inside Licking County. It's part of the Les Wexner corridor of New Albany. So Licking,
is that out like northeast? I don't remember. Like past Easton? I don't know where New Albany is. I don't remember.
Easton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out there where all the Les Wexner stuff is, right out there.
Exactly. So it started with Les Wexner's little I-60. It's 161 corridor. Started with the fulfillment center of Bed Bath and Beyond. They used to have it was called Excel, and it was down in Lewis Center. And he moved that, and that was probably 8 or 9 years ago. And slowly that corridor grew, and Licking County has been a benefactor of that. New Albany, under his guidance, has not been afraid to make great offers to get what the Facebooks and the not Facebooks.
Intel.
Intel's there, so it'll help the whole region. But Licking County has, and Licking County's kind of got their act together anyway, but they have really benefited from that. So that'll be interesting. All right.
So Holly, it looks like I will have to disconnect and or can you see my screen?
Yeah, we see your screen. We just
great. Okay. I have a Mac, and apparently I had not given permissions to Zoom, and it was giving me a lot of questions. So let's see. All right. So can you guys see that then?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sounds great. So I guess in some of this I already shared, maybe just a quick thumbnail of who is Smash My Trash. We've got 162 owners across 41 states. At this point, we're serving about 6,000 customers. As I mentioned before, if you look at the red machine, that is produced by a company called Hussmann in Germany. And actually, the Smash is actively working within the United States to source that here as well. We're looking for a manufacturer who's willing to build those locally. The truck, we primarily use Kenworth to date, although we're in the process of sourcing a second supplier through international, just from a supply chain perspective. Kind of our focus is twofold, one of which is the actual cost savings that is caused by smashing the trash. We reduce volumes typically between 50 and 70%, which allows people to put more debris in the open top dumpster. And I've got a slide here in a minute that we'll go into some of the detail of how we do that and what the typical savings are. But the second piece of that is also environmental stewardship. We've completed a white paper with Trinity Consultants, which verified that on average, if you look at a 12-mile trip to the landfill and dispatch, et cetera, that we generate about a 65% reduction in greenhouse gases over traditional hauling alone. In addition to that, we're always asked, how do the haulers feel about us? We do have a zero touch policy. We don't make physical contact, with the can when we do our smashing. Of course, they're not thrilled that they see the impact to their revenues. But at the end of the day, we've gotten some pushback from some pretty large haulers. Republic comes to mind, and they really haven't been successful, because the reality is the way hauling agreements are structured, right? If that can catches on fire next to your plant and it sets the place on fire, it's your problem, right? You have title to that trash until it's hauled. And so if you choose to have trash compacted on your behalf, then it is your right to do so. And we actually we have a hauler bill of rights that goes into the details. It's been legally vetted. And
so
yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, like Republic or what is it, Waste Management or some of those guys, like, do they own the landfills you have to take this stuff to? So you have to still play nice to be able to take your stuff to their landfills, or are they owned by a third party altogether?
Yeah, what's their
Right.
beat?
So we don't haul trash at all. We
Okay.
simply compact it within the open top containers. So
Okay. Got it.
we are fairly plugged into that market though, and we do work with customers on we see less in the manufacturing but more in the construction space, where
Sure.
the hauler says we're going to charge you a tonnage fee, and well, actually there is no tonnage fee on construction and demolition waste. So and we see a wide we know the haulers that play nice and have good service, and we know haulers that have high prices and maybe have good service or some don't.
So Andrew,
Go ahead, Mark.
So I was just the resistance that you feel from the Republics and the Waste Managements, is that because of their fees are based on the number of transports and you're reducing that?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that is the pushback that we get, is that typically we cut hauls in half, and let's say a haul costs 160, 240, so in some places up to $1,100. We're pulling those dollars out. Yeah, absolutely.
But Andy, I get from a competitive standpoint, like, oh crap, this Smash My Trash is out there now. But what's their legitimate vocal beef with what you're doing? I mean, what's their standing to try to get you to do something else, like go away?
Right. So their initial claims have been that we damaged the container, and the reality is we've pushed back on that. They actually, in full disclosure, they took us to federal court in Kansas City, and they made these claims. And this was maybe a year ago, and we basically said, in front of the judge, prove it, bring us the damage claims. And the reality is we've done over 1 million smashes system wide, and we have yet to pay a damage claim.
So these are their containers.
They are there
because they haul it, and you're smashing the trash inside, and they're saying you're damaging our. Okay, well, that's pretty easy to proof, I would think.
Right. If there were actual damage, and you can see, if you look closely at the big wheel that is behind the cab, that's actually a drum guard. There are teeth on the drum, but the drum guard prevents those teeth from ever making contact with the container. And then while this looks like a big hydraulic mechanism, there is no actual hydraulic down pressure. The hydraulics on between the primary and secondary components of the boom, it is simply a drum lock. So basically, when we deploy the truck, the cab, we take the boom all the way up and then release that lock, and then there is hydraulics to lower the first section of the boom to get the drum into the can. And at that point, obviously, if you roll it back, you can, lift the truck up a certain amount. So, there is weight being applied. The drum itself weighs about 6,000 pounds. The truck in total machine and truck weigh about 26,000 pounds. You'd be
So
hard pressed. We've never picked the truck up off the ground, so but you
does
could
that machine come off of the bed of the truck, or is it one integrated unit?
It's one integrated unit. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The cab slides back. It's on a chain drive basically. So when we come to the customer site, we back the truck up to the container, and then the cab moves back, puts it in position. It essentially locks it. It's on rails at the tailgate, and then we deploy into the can. The whole process takes about 15 minutes typically. I mean, if it's a very full can, then a little bit longer. But
is there a video coming up, a presentation, part of your presentation? I hope.
I could send a video out. Sometimes video doesn't do very well on Zoom, but I can include a link. We definitely have a lot of video.
So what's the benefit of this compared to just buying a traditional compactor?
So really, and actually, let me get a slide on that specifically. In general, us versus a traditional compactor, we actually compact as well as grind. So you're going to get a much more complete compaction. And because our truck is mobile, right? So we operate it, we maintain it. The amortization of that unit is very high, right? I'm currently smashing 50 customers across the Delaware and Dayton areas, and that number continues to grow as we add more. So the amortization on that capital equipment is very high, as opposed to more of a traditional stationary compactor where essentially all of that investment is on a single container. And and I don't know how it is with both of you. But in talking to, I was actually out at a company that they do a lot of fiberglass work, and he was telling me a story. They had just had their overhang replaced because they had a temporary worker kind of throw a lit cigarette into the container, thinking, it's a trash can. Well, it was a trash can full of fiberglass resin, basically. So, 17 fire extinguishers later, the fire department finally got there. And, so it's the sort of thing where, our staff is highly trained. We have dedicated operators for the trucks. If a traditional compactor is about a, $25,000+ investment, our trucks are about $250,000 each. So, we're getting very good amortization on those investments.
How effective is it with metal waste?
It depends. Lightweight metal, it does very well. We've smashed everything from beer kegs to 55-gallon drums to those sorts of things. Now, if it's a traditional recycling relationship, it is possible to essentially over smash where the container gets too heavy. So it kind of depends on a case-by-case basis. We are doing a little bit of metal compaction for recycling, but once you get into heavier steel, then it's not as effective. 90% of what we do is paper, cardboard, pallets, and that sort of thing. A lot of wood, other sort of, lightweight fiberglass is good. Heavyweight fiberglass, where if you think about fiberglass pipe, it doesn't tend to, it's not that it won't compact, but the trials we've done, it tends to move around a lot. And so it's like a kid's ball pit, essentially, where the little pieces of pipe kind of scoot out of the way of the compactor.
Okay. One of the things we were looking at, we use a lot of foam, and any waste foam we bale it tightly up and things like that. I guess I'm just trying to picture if we could use this kind of thing for that. I'm not sure. It seems like it'd be kind of like smashing a sponge, that it wouldn't really do much to it. Yeah, from like that roller that I picture.
Right. I mean, in general, we do a lot of foam. We've got we actually do king coil from a mattress perspective. So, you know, I can't guarantee, but you know, what I would recommend is that you know, we offer free demos, free trials to take a look at it and see what it does. You know, in general, you know, it comes down to, because the compactor actually tears the material up. You know, you're permanently expelling a lot of that air. So, and obviously it's lightweight material. And we do a lot of fiberglass, as I mentioned. You know, we actually, I don't know if you've seen the new Bronco, but apparently the manufacturer that's making those fancy roofs is having a really tough time. And just, you know, our franchisee up in Detroit is literally there twice a day smashing defective Bronco hoods. And you know, we do a lot of other plastics. We're starting to get you know, much deeper. We're not at Honda yet, but we're at a number of their major suppliers, because that's the other piece that some of our manufacturers find valuable. We're actually smashing. We're doing a trial with Stanley Electric, but we're actually at their BST, Building Systems Transportation, which is their transportation company. And so they make headlights and taillights for the Accord and the Civic. And, you know, so they've got bins of defective material. And, you know, we essentially keep people from dumpster diving and stealing those, because not only do we compact it, but we also destroy, you know, all the defective headlights and taillights that they throw in those containers.
Okay. You know, Andy, you know, on the waste that we don't reuse or recycle, I told you earlier, we send it to Indianapolis for incineration. And one of the issues they have is we have a lot of rolled waste. And so it's like hundreds of yards of material. And they're having problems because those rolls will unwind, and the heat from the incineration will move up the roll before it gets into the vat, and it causes issues.
Almost wicking, like a candle or something, or like
right,
absolutely,
yeah,
wick or something, right?
Yeah, okay. Good analogy. And so I was wondering, it seemed, is that thing rotating in there, and could it?
It does, right.
Could it bind up in material? Yeah.
Not typically. You know, so there's a drum guard up at the top where the drum attaches, but this is a hydraulic roller. It moves in both directions, and so typically the way it works is the operator puts it in the can, and then you know, you can roll in the direction of travel, and then typically to tear the material up, we roll against the direction of travel. Yeah. So it would be interesting to see. You know, a lot of material will give, you know, and the drum will actually shred it, you know, before it, you know, before it would clog it. Now, it is possible, you know, that being said, you know, we do a lot of plastics and that sort of thing, where if you think about construction, where and you know, you do get stuff caught on it, but the guard does a pretty good job of keeping it from getting wound completely around the drum.
Okay.
But yeah, that's its primary method. You can see kind of the hydraulic pipes that go across the top of the boom. And that's coming down into this roller. As I mentioned, there's no hydraulic down pressure from the machine itself. It's essentially the weight of the truck, and the you know, there's a hydraulic motor inside the drum that controls the rotation. And it's you know, I wouldn't call it slow, but you know, it's not overly fast. You know, so I mean, you can get you know, so some stuff will break suddenly, but usually it's more of a tearing.
Yep.
So I was going to mention, so we're essentially a routed service. I'll go into the details of that here in just a minute. But, you know, typically we see the best compaction when we smash a container twice prior to hauling. You can think about it as kind of a layering process where, you maybe fill the can 50 or 60%. We compact that, see that 50 to 70% compaction that is typical. That would compact the first layer to maybe a third of the can. People fill it back up. We do that smash again, and then then there's room atop to fill it out. We also we get some on-demand calls where people have overfilled their containers, and the hauler can't or won't haul it, and so we help them out with those issues. But in general, we cut the total number of hauls by about 50%. And so, the way our structure works, and it's a little bit different, Mark, you mentioned in a lot of cases, your recyclers are essentially paying you to take the material. But the typical model is, we save that company 50% in hauling. Our fee comes out of that, and we leave them with a 15 to 20% net savings on their total hauling costs.
Andy, so I'm picturing a commercial or a large residential construction site. They've got a dumpster. Your truck is not nimble enough to be able to accommodate or service those kinds of situations. Yes.
Oh, actually we do. I mean, just and I guess I haven't gone into and I didn't. They're not necessarily public references, but just a few names. I mean, Fisher and Epcon are two large home builders that we smash, and we're also doing Schottenstein from a multi-dwelling unit. General contractors. We're currently smashing in Dayton, Skanska. They're Swedish, actually. They're a large GC. They build hospitals and urgent cares, and so yeah, we absolutely do. General contractors, home builders. Sometimes it's a little messy. It's Epcon's easier than Fisher because I don't know if you guys are familiar. Epcon. They build over 55 housing, and so when they do it, they actually own the streets. So they use 30-yard cans. They just leave them in the road. Fisher is the traditional home builders don't own the streets, and so the can goes in the yard. Those are our truck is small enough that we block the road when we're doing it, but the process is 10 to 15 minutes. So it's pretty straightforward. Our truck is actually smaller than the hauling trucks, so any place they can go to get the can, we can back into it to smash it. The big piece is we do need overhead clearance. We are about fully deployed. We're about 22 feet tall, so we've done some inside work. If you think about the big Budweiser plant in Worthington. It wasn't us, it was Columbus. They did a demo in there because the roof was tall enough, but you've got to have pretty good ceiling clearance for us to actually do it inside.
Cool.
And just wanted to talk a little bit about kind of our model versus the hauling and where a lot of the savings come from. We are a routing based model. We do not haul trash versus the trash haulers or recycling companies, which are actually a dispatch based model. So basically, we have a very proactive, efficient route. Think of us as UPS, right? UPS drives by your house once a day. If there's a package, they drop it off. If not, they're dropping a package off at your neighbor's. So that is the way our trucks operate. We make short trips from site to site. Again, I'm talking about Delaware. We're all up and down US 23. We're in Delaware proper. As well as that corridor kind of down to Powell, etc. And across 42. You know, we use a lighter Class 6 truck. It's still a heavy duty truck, right? We come in right under 26,000 pounds, but you know, it's nowhere near the Class 7 and 8 trucks that you'll see that are actually hauling trash, right? Those trucks could be, you know, easily 60,000 pounds. And so, you know, it makes us very efficient. That's where the carbon savings comes from, is smaller trucks, short trips versus if you look at how the hauling process works. And you know, to a traditional landfill, right, you're you know, going maybe 12 miles, 15 miles, but you know, as we were talking about with Covanta, you know, you're talking about you know, 150 miles plus. So you know, if you can reduce the number of those trips by 50%, it's very significant in terms of the savings in terms of cost, as well as the carbon emissions associated with that. So you know, that they're essentially going out and back to that disposal location, whereas you know, we're much more efficiently you know, going from site to site. And what that results at, so we hired Trinity Consultants. You guys are probably familiar with them. They're, I think, the #1 kind of environmental, you know, EPA essentially certified consultants. They went through the two models, you know, and they basically built a model based on averages, looking at, okay, let's haul, you know, 200 containers of medium compactable waste, 12 miles to the landfill, 10 miles for dispatch. And, you know, we show about a 65% savings in carbon emissions. You know, of course, eventually you have to haul that container, but it's the reduction in hauls of those large trucks that really, you know, really causes significant savings. So, you know, you get for true trash, right? Because generate savings in the actual hauling, but then, you know, we have environmental benefits on top of that. And there's a white paper that goes along with this if you are interested in that. Be happy to provide that.
Cool. All right.
At a high level, you know, those are the components that that I wanted to share. You know, I will send a link to a video that kind of shows the truck in action. Actually, I could probably let me stop sharing. Let's see if I can bring one up right now. We'll see how it goes. I will warn you, we're always I don't know the classic rock fan at Smash My Trash, but let's see if I can keep the music muted, because they always have you know, some hard rock music going in the background. It's kind of our thing.
Yeah, if the word smash is in the company, you got to have some hard rock.
Well, yeah,
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, we have a good time. I've personally done some smashing, and it's very therapeutic.
I realized actually after we started seeing this and stuff, I actually saw one of these a few weeks ago, not too far from where I live here. They were parked at a local church, but I think that was just a parking spot for maybe some local construction that was being done. And I was wondering what the heck it was.
Yeah, that would be us. Yeah, we've, like I mentioned, I've got 2 trucks operating in between Delaware and Dayton, and Steve Elsas as well.
I'm in St. Louis. But
oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, so we have at least 2 franchisees that are in St. Louis. Becky Voss,
Okay.
I saw her yesterday at the conference. She and her husband operate one of them, and then I don't personally know the other franchisor, but or
Sure.
franchisee, but yeah, we are definitely operating in St. Louis.
Cool.
Yeah, let's see.
Introducing Smash My Trash.
Let's see if I can share
Most business
this.
people don't think about commercial waste, nor give it a second thought. Smash My Trash is a service that both your controller and maintenance team will appreciate. We come to your facility with our mobile compaction machine. Our compaction services reduce the volume of waste in dumpsters by up to 70%. This enables you to put a lot more material into the dumpster. Let's see how it works.
There we go.
Now, here are some real-life Smash examples.
Cool. Pretty simple.
Smash My Trash helps business owners in 3 ways. First, we reduce operating costs. Second, our customer-first approach to service is unique in the waste industry. And third, we help you help the environment. By cutting the number of times your dumpster is hauled, we reduce your hauling fees. We also reduce the other per haul add-on costs. Hauler invoices often include a wide variety of charges, such as those you see here. Many contracts include...
I'll pause that. There's not as much. I was trying to find a video that has an actual better smash. Yeah, we, as we do that, so here's a palette video. Let's see if this one is better. Yeah, there we go. That has the more traditional smash music associated with it.
Detroit.
Yes. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're spooling.
Got to get that 5G. There we go. Works good on pallets.
The theory is just so simple. Cool beans.
So you can see it tears wood and other materials up pretty significantly. So, and as I mentioned, we'd be happy to come out. I know, Mark, you've got a third-party supplier, but we'd be happy to do a demo with them to show them how we can reduce the volume and I kind of maximize the value of each load that they're hauling. So.
Yep. Yeah, we'll probably have you come over and do a demo with our third party.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, and Ben, are you interested as well? Again, happy to bring the truck out and show you a demo in person. See how your material, because you mentioned you've got a lot of foam and that sort of thing. I'm curious to see if I'm sure it will compact, and then we can take a look at it to see if it stays compacted or if it puffs back up. Or it's always interesting to see with that kind of stuff.
What another simple idea. My father's always said, find a need and fill it, right? So I imagine there was a day that your founder was emptying the kitchen trash and he put his foot down in it to make more room, right? Haven't we all done that? Said,
right, absolutely.
Let's do that, but bigger. Want to?
Right.
Oh, cool.
Well, I think, as I mentioned, it was exactly that, except it was, essentially, oil field companies in Houston, Texas, and they were, hauling half-filled containers away. And, just to mention, a few, not public references, of course, but, we're doing Kichler lighting from a manufacturer's perspective up in Cleveland. I don't know if you've heard of NOV. They're a global manufacturer of oil well equipment and, work in the oil and gas industry. We do them. Toyota Material Handling, actually, in just north of Powell, Toshiba, Geldwin, Honeywell, Facuvi. You may not have heard of them, but they're an extruded plastics manufacturer in Dayton. I mentioned Stanley Electric already. And then we do a lot of distribution companies as well. I'm not sure how your relationships work with trucking companies, but you know, we do ABF. We actually have a national contract with Old Dominion, Nissan International, who is one of Honda's. They're another multinational. They're one of Honda's suppliers. We're actually there 3 days a week. They have 5 cans. It's a lot of cardboard, and you know, they have a lot of packing material, basically. You know, as materials are brought into the plant, Honda doesn't want that actually on site. It's all prepped at an external location, and generates a tremendous amount of you know, trash. So you know, we take care of that, and you know, really reduce their volume. We've reduced their volume by about 35%.
So the more successful Smash is, the more the Republicans of the world are going to change their sort of billing model, right? Sooner or later, they're going to start charging by weight. I mean, the more successful you are, they're going to have to counter that in some way, right?
Right. I would expect them to, you know, somewhat increase their weight charges. But, you know, the thing is, I always like to say, a container never had an accident and took out a family of 4 sitting on the ground, right? So if you look at their costs, the costs are in the big truck, in the driver, I mean, personally, right, I have a smaller truck and a driver, and insurance is expensive, right? So all that liability, it comes from moving the can, not from having the can sitting on the ground. So, you know, if we look at, and I might be a little off on this, but the disposal of that waste at Swaco, as an example, is about $40 a ton, right? So if they increase that 25%, it's $50 a ton, right? We're saving money on the expensive part, which is picking up that container, you know, putting it on the heavy Class 8 truck, driving it down the road, and in all of those components. So I think long term, and we actually work with we work with some local haulers that kind of get that model. And so that's the other thing, right? There really is only one Smash My Trash. We do have, there are other companies that put compactors on the road. You know, but nothing compared to the 190 trucks and the level of investment that we've made. But if you look at haulers, right, you know, I could rattle off, you know, a dozen plus haulers in the Columbus area alone. And so hauling is a commodity. So they will be unhappy. But there are, you know, really limited things that they can do about it, simply because, you know, again, this model's existed for decades in Europe, and you know, it's kind of like you're making 56K dial-up modems, right? And you're unhappy about, you know, the broadband internet from the cable company. There really isn't anything you can do about it. The technology is coming one way or the other.
Hey, Andy, I really appreciate you sharing with us, and we'll definitely have you come over, but I do have an 8:30. I
Sure.
can't be late.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
But,
appreciate the time today. It was great to meet you, Mark,
Yeah,
and Ben,
awesome.
and thanks, Holly, for setting this
Oh,
up.
my pleasure. We'll send this recording to the rest of the Man Council, and hopefully they'll get some time to listen to it. Ben, nice to meet you. Look forward to meeting you in person someday, and hopefully get the family moved over here. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Talk soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a
bye-bye.
good morning.
You too.